Axure Quicktip. We are building an interactive tab bar in Axure in under 10 minutes. Now in Axure Quicktip number 1. We're starting with a blank page. I'm using a label to create the tab bar. To start, just set the font size and the color of the element. Now I'm doing the alignment, and the first important thing of this topic, we set the padding for the left and the right side and the padding for the bottom. The padding to the bottom will be important later on. Now we're finished with the layout, and I'm checking the auto-fit height and width because that enables us to easily change the text and have proper labels. Now we are creating the mouse over. We could use a line color to create a rectangle around the label, or the underline. But as you can see, the underline doesn't look that good because it's very close to the label. So we're using a different technique. By having a fill color not checked to solid but to linear gradient. We are adjusting the gradient with two additional elements. The two on the left side will be set to opacity 0 so that there's no color. And the two on the right side will have the color and 100% opacity so that they are solid. Now it's important to adjust the two markers in the center so that they are very close together. That's how we create a sharp edge that separates the clear background from the solid line in the bottom. We use this technique for the mouse over, and now we're doing the same for the selected state. We're just using another color, a little bit darker. So again, select linear gradient. On the left side, opacity is 0, and on the right side, opacity 100%. That's because we are using a gradient from top to bottom. As you can see, it is quite tricky with this color picker in Axure. If you are a little bit out of bounds and maybe touch the colors in the bottom, then it gets recolored. But as you can see, we created the selected state. Now I'm renaming the first tab, and we're creating a selection group so that Axure automatically adjusts the selected tab for us. I'm just naming the selected group, and now the shape. Naming is always important, and I always try to do it in the moment when I add interaction to an element. The only thing I have to add at the moment to the widget is the select itself, so that it's set to true when I'm clicking on it. Now we can copy this element and can now align it, so we are creating our tab bar. With this combination of using the interaction styles and the selection group, we already created everything we need to adjust the selected state, and the mouse over is also working. Now I'm just doing a little bit of alignment so that the elements look a little bit better. The next step is that we need something to interact on. So we create a dynamic panel for the content. Usually this would contain more complex structures, but for now on, in this demo, it will be a simple dynamic panel with 3 states and just a picture that is moved around. That's not proper for a design award, but should fit the needs of this demonstration. As you can see, I'm showing you this in regular speed. I'm not scrolling or fastening it up. So as said, we are building everything in under 10 minutes. As you can see, just copying the states and now aligning the pictures so that we can see the change of the dynamic panel in the browser later on. And now we're almost finished, just the 3rd tab, so the 3rd state. And everything we have to do now is just to wire it up. So the 1st tab has to select the panel state 1 in the dynamic panel. And to be fast on this, I'll usually copy this interaction and then copy it onto the other elements. And while I'm doing that, I'm renaming the tabs so that I can identify them later. Naming of elements and especially widgets that are interactive or cause interaction is very important, especially if your projects get bigger. So now the tab bar and the dynamic panel are wired up, and this would already work. Now just a little cleanup with the alignment. And everything's done. And the only thing we need now is for the initial state that the 1st tab is selected. In the dynamic panel it always is. And now our 1st tab is also selected. Now let's see in the browser how this would look like. And as you can see, our tab bar is working. We have a hover and we have a selected state. That's my idea how to create an interactive tab bar in Axure in under 10 minutes. If you know a faster way or have any other feedback, please write in the comments below or send me a mail at post@thomassackstedt.de. Make sure to subscribe to never miss a video in future.